Okay, well, let's just get started, I guess. Since it's one-on-one, you can keep it pretty, casual. Just message me in the chat if you have anything. So, welcome back to CS 199 EMP. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. Um, can you hear me okay now?
Yes, I can hear you. 1-to-1 class.
Yeah, I wonder why no one came today.
Yeah.
That makes me sad, but it's okay. We'll keep going. We'll do this.
Okay.
Uh,
Thank you.
yeah, I'll teach you everything you need to know.
Wow.
You'll be the most prepared person here. Okay, yeah, let's just get started, I guess. Um, so for today, we were planning to do algorithms, functions, while loops, and error messages. So this is probably everything you studied this week, including today's lesson, which is actually called Staying Sane in CS. Um, so today is kind of special from all of our usual course activities, in that we're also focusing on mental health and mental health awareness in computer science particularly. So like all of the office hours are like renamed to be called Staying Sane in CS. So if you ever want to talk about that, or if that's something that you're concerned about, then feel free to stop by. Um, Today's going to be all about like learning to handle error messages, learning to handle how to um, deal with stressful times in CS, and all of the ups and downs, and just you know moving past them and writing great code. So let's get on with algorithms. Our first topic. So what the heck are algorithms anyway? Um, So you can think of them as basically, I like how this description puts it, recipes to solve a problem. So how you probably already making algorithms in your head every day when you're like approaching a math problem or approaching like a puzzle to solve. You have some sort of map of how you want to go about doing it most quickly. Um, and so they're relevant outside the world of computer science. And so they're easy to pick up because of that. You should, because they're really just steps on how to solve a problem. And so one way that I like to think of it, when I'm thinking about algorithms and what they are, is like when, for example, if you're into baking, and someone tells you to bake a cake, you can think of the algorithm behind baking as all of the steps that you need to take in order to bake a cake. So you have to get the ingredients ready, you have to get the eggs, the flour, the icing. I don't know what else goes into a cake, but those are the things that I can think of. And putting them all together into a pan, baking it in the oven for however long, decorating it. Those are kind of the high level steps. So, in order to solve a problem, what are the different steps that you take, or what is the approach that you take to go about it? With baking a cake, there aren't a whole lot of different ways that you can go about doing it. It's just pretty much get the ingredients and bake it. But you can change up the ingredients, you can change the approach for how it'll look and taste. So yeah, that's kind of a good analogy to describe what algorithms are. So even though they're not really they're not only found in code and in the computer science world. They're very relevant in it because pretty much everything that we create, every web application, phone application that we create has algorithms that are designed in the back end, and then they're used over and over again to solve different types of problems. They're very reusable because the one approach that you might take to a particular problem is very much still applicable in another problem. So that's my overview of algorithms. I don't want to go on and on about that. I'll let you do some practice. Okay, so here's the first algorithms problem. We'll do 5 minutes for this one, and it's pretty straightforward. I'll go over it, but this one you don't have to code. Just think about it and maybe, yeah, abstract thoughts. Just talk about it if you want to talk about it, or you can put it into the chat and just talk about what the steps are to do this. Yeah, 5 minutes, or just text me when you're done. And when you're setting this up, set it up in a way, like how would you go about solving it in code? Like what variables would you define? What for loops, while loops, what would you use in order to solve this problem? So don't write the code out, but think of it in terms of code.
Okay, I thought maybe first of all we need to know this process of these atoms, and we need to system dot out print line according to the about adding them up, adding this process up and print out them, but maybe we need to apply a sales tax after print out the sum and another I don't know how to say another to get another outcome of this taxing process. Maybe I think, but oh, I forgot something about how to organize algorithms.
It's
Yes.
okay. I think you're on the right track, actually. So you said to go through basically all the prices, right? One at a time and print them out. So if you wanted to get the total, what would you want to do instead of printing?
I just maybe add them up is
Mhm.
yeah.
Yep. Yep. You would add them up. What would you need to define in order to add them up into one value? Like what um
Um Uh, let me
It's okay if you don't know.
I don't know.
It's don't overthink it. It's a variable. You would define a variable called maybe total price,
Oh,
and you would add this price, each of the prices to total price one at a time.
oh yeah, and I need to print them out.
Yeah. So like you would probably have something like total equals 0 initially, and then you would go through all of the prices. So let's say you had an array of prices. Okay, so like, and this is in code, but um, int prices equals new prices, we new, and something like this. Let's say you had an array of 5 prices.
Yes.
So what would you use to go through each of these prices and add it to the total?
Mm,
Like what thing in computer science that you recently learned about that um, starts with an F and ends with a, it's 2 words.
uh, maybe I think something about add them up is only the plus, I think.
Yes, so you would add, right, you would go through prices and then you'd go like through every single thing in price and then you would add that to the total and then you'd get a new total, right?
Yes.
And so if you wanted to go through every single thing in prices though, what would you use to get every single price?
Um, a loop.
Yes. Yeah. So you would go through a for loop. So you'd have like something like you'd start with 0 and then y I is less than prices. And, and
Oh, plus plus. Oh, I remember that.
yes. And then you just do like this. And so this basically what this does is it's just saying you take every single item or every single thing in prices and then you add it to the total, which is first 0, and then you keep adding to the total. And then at the end, you can print out the total here.
Oh,
Oh my God, there's a lot of chips dollars. Let's fix this. Um,
I always forgot the vast space.
yeah, spacing is not fun. But
Wow.
now you get the total.
Yeah. Oh,
And
I
and
got it.
then yeah, and then at the last piece of this was to get the sales tax. So if you had a sales tax of what does this question have? 4%, then you would just take the total and it would just be the total times the sales tax, which is since it's 4%, if you just multiply it by 1.04, then you get the total with the sales tax. Then you can just put it
Okay.
this way.
Oh,
Oh, interesting, lossy conversion. Um, so the other thing I guess what you could do is,
okay. I got it. Oh,
okay,
I forgot. I forgot. Oh, so many things I learned. just maybe 2 days ago.
Yeah, just keep that in mind, and we'll make all of these doubles to make this easier because total doesn't have to be integers. It could be like $1.25. But yeah, that's basically what you need to do.
Okay.
Okay, let's go ahead and look at the next problem. The next problem is similar, but this one is also no code. But just think about what we talked about just now and think about how you want to use the different things we learned recently, like for loops and arrays, to solve this problem. So I'll give you 5 minutes, or just message me when you're done.
Um, I only know how to search in one in only one list, but I don't know how to search the two in list one and list two at the same time.
Okay, so think about it as so you know that list one and list two both have three things in it. So you can use the indexes of both in order to search both lists. So the indexes range from 0, 1, and 2. Same thing for this one, 0, 1, and 2. So maybe you could use a for loop that goes from 0 to 2, and then just index both lists inside of the for loop. Um, that would be one suggestion.
Okay.
You want me to go over it now, or do you think you want some more time to think about it?
I need some time to think about it.
No problem. You have plenty of time. You have 5
Um,
minutes.
it's like we need to set the array of list one, and we need a number. Uh, no. Oh wait, if
Here,
Oh,
yeah.
it's like we know the index of list one and list two, and we compare the if they equal to each other, we will print the final.
Yep, that's perfect.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, you use the index to compare the values at each of these arrays. And then if they're equal to each other, then you would print out found one.
Wow, it's a little bit complex.
Mm-hmm. Do you want me to write it out just so you can see it?
Uh, okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
yeah. So you're right that you need a loop. So you would write a loop and it would start at integer 0 and you would go up till while I is one, over there, 0, 1, 2, while center equal to 2, and then I plus plus. And so first, let's say we had array over here, array 1 equal to, actually you should write it like this, array 1 equal to 1, 2, 3, and 3, 2, 1, okay. So we have int array 1 equals 1, 2, 3, and int array 2 equals 3, 2, 1. That, and then you would, so this would be the value 1 equals array 1 dot I, and value 2 equals array 2 dot I. So get the value from the first array at its index, and this one will get the value from the second array at index. Okay. So now you have the two values, and then how would you check if these two values are the same? What would you use?
If
If value 1 equals value 2, then print system if system print when, and then we just say found one. I think I got that one right. Oh no. Value one. Oh, my bad. So kind of initialize these variables. Value one, value two, and something web check seller. Okay, so there
okay.
you go. Yep. So that's the solution for this question. If you're good with that, we'll move on to the next section.
Yes.
So conjunction junction, what's your function? So we're going to talk about functions now. So function would basically bits of code that will contain other bits of code. And the reason why functions exist is because we can use these bits of code to pretty much use them anywhere we want. We can reuse them over and over again for different things. And in general, functions will have they have this general structure right here. This is an example of a function. We have the return value for the function, so whatever the function outputs, the data type for that, the function name, and then it takes in some sort of parameters or arguments. So in this case, it's taking an argument called a, which is just an integer array. Yeah, so I guess I identified those for you. So take a look at this particular function. What does it do? And what do you think is a good, maybe better name for it?
What does function do? Maybe it's if a number in this array is smaller than is less than 0, this will return true, and if else it will return false.
Yep, exactly. You nailed it. Yeah, so it'll return true if there's any number in the array that's less than 0. Otherwise, it returns false. I would maybe name it. Do you have any names for this? This is called foo, but maybe is there a better name that you can think of that is more informative of what it actually does?
Values, maybe.
Okay, I would maybe go with does array or is array does array have positive values or negative values? Yeah, that's what I would call it.
Oh,
Uh, it's kind of a long name, but that's the best one that I can think of. Does array have
so
negative values?
the name should be descriptive.
Yeah, so you typically want your function names to say something about what the function actually does, because it just makes for more readable code. It's hard to understand code if you have something like foo. Like if I told you there's a function called foo, you would be like, what does that mean? What is foo? I don't know what
Okay.
foo, like it's a meaningless word. So
Yep.
okay, so let's get on with the practice problems. Here's the first one. And these two require some code. So this one is about similar to what we did before with the grocery total. So I kind of already did this for you, but see if you can create the function part of it. I didn't do the function part, so
Okay.
Let me know if you need any help on this part.
I'm writing the first one, but there is some mistakes, I think. I didn't finish that because I
Okay.
forgot the return. I should be the return true or return something else.
So for your function, you define what type of data you're going to return right here in your function. So you have it set to double, which is correct. So you want to return the total number, like the total that you calculate. That's what you want to return.
Yes.
So that's like the only piece you're missing. And when you're doing your integer initialization for total, that should go inside of your function. So let me show you. So you have the function calculate total,
Yes.
which takes in a double price, double prices. Like this. So in here, you want the initialized total to be 0. In your code, you have it up here. So if you want your function to be able to use this variable, it needs to either be inside brackets or you need to pass it in as another variable like this. Like that. Yeah, those are the two things you can do.
Oh, yes.
So I would recommend doing it this way. And then like you have it set up, you can just do the for loop and then this is what you had, I think. So it wouldn't be total calculate dot length because total calculate is the name of the function. You want to look for the length of the array prices. And this again is the name of the function. So you want to take total and you want to add total every time. And then once you exit the for loop, so you have to look for the exit of the for loop, then you can return total. But in this question, I think they also asked you to return the total with the sales tax, so I would do it like this. Treat this as double. Like that. Install. Prices. Prices. Double integer. Double. Integer double. And comma. 2 comma. We can put it. I think that should work. Okay, so let me explain what's happening here. So you have a array called prices, and it's got 3 things in it. And then you call the function calculate total, and your input is the array prices. And so now what it's going to do is going to run your algorithm, and it's going to go through every single thing inside of prices and then add it to the total value, multiply it by the 1.04 for the sales tax, and then it's going to output some value based off of that, and then this line of code will then print out the output from total calculate.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's what happens. So what's neat about this is that you can change whatever prices is and recalculate. You can recalculate the function. Oh my God, what on it? Is input, blah, 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 blah. I don't know why it's doing that. Anyway, we'll start. Already, why is it saying that? Okay, anyway, you can basically set it so that prices takes any value. Let's just do it like this. So you can set it so that prices takes any value, and you can rerun the calculate total function again.
Okay.
So that is functions. So there's another similar example for the problem that we did earlier with the two arrays of integers, and then figure out the number of matches. So I think I pretty much did that question earlier.
Yeah.
But the only difference is to create the function surrounding it. So before I implemented the algorithm, but I would recommend that you also try to put it inside of a function. So like with the same headers, and see if you can get it to run. But since we have some more stuff to cover, I will let you do that on your own time and kind of figure it out. The solutions are always at the end of the slides, so you can always refer to them.
Okay.
Okay, so let's talk about the other kind of loop that we saw in the lectures. So we talked about for loops last time, I think, which looked pretty much like this. We had some sort of initialization, a condition where it continues to run, and an update for the initialization variable. And then we had some code inside of the for loop that ran for however many times this condition was true.
Yes.
So you have a for loop, but then there's also while loops. So while loops basically run while this condition is true. And so implication of that basically is that if you do not properly update this condition, this while loop could technically go on forever. And I mean the same thing for the for loop. But in the for loop, you have kind of an update inside of the header for the for loop. So in this example, you have an update here where you increment the I value. So you know that the loop will end after I is greater than, when I is equal to prices.length. So you know the for loop will end. So in the while loop, it's similar, but you have to make sure that the I or whatever condition is being, it's ending at some point. If you want it to end, if you want the while loop to go on forever and ever, then that's fine. But if you want the while loop to end, you have to make sure that you're properly updating the value, the whatever condition you're using, so that it'll exit the loop.
Okay.
So there isn't really a standard for when you should use one over the other. I think in general, for loops are easier to read and more commonly seen. And then while loops are less commonly seen, but they're useful. They have their uses. Yeah, I think most people just generally use these. Yeah. All right, so here's a while loop question. You can typically go from for loops to while loops and while loops to for loops. See if you can convert this for loop into a while loop.
Maybe I should put the int I as equal to 4096 at first in the first line, and the second line should be while I is greater than 0, and the I is equal to I divided by 2 in the third line and system out in the first line.
Yes, so if I understood that correctly, said to do int I equals 4096. Okay. Then we
Yes.
said to do while. What did you say after that?
I is greater than 0,
Okay.
and the I forgot the information. Yes, I is equal to 8 is divided by 2, I think, and system out.
Okay, so this looks pretty almost there. It's almost there. The only change that I would make is the ordering of 3 and 4. So you want to update the I after you've printed out the I, because in this particular example, you print out the I and then the I updates. So
Oh yes, it should be the first line, and the system should be in the third line.
yeah, so this one should be here. And then that should work. Yeah, that's good. Okay. So in general, I've always gone with the policy that for loops are better. So my answer to this question is for loop is better. I
Oh,
think it's up to you how you decide to do it.
yeah.
Okay, so we got a couple more minutes. So we'll go through errors and see if you can answer some of the error questions. So this is what you guys are going to be covering in today's lesson. And you might have already reviewed it, I'm not sure. But basically, computers can get really frustrating to work with. I'm sure earlier you saw that when I was working on something on here, I got some sort of weird error and I didn't really understand it. I decided to ignore it. But while you're in CS 125 and in CS 199, you're doing a lot of these problems, you're going to see a lot of errors. You're going to get frustrated, pretty easily. Like you're going to get random things and you're going to not understand it. Um, just I guess this lesson is just to remind you that it's okay to get frustrated. Just move past it. I think that most of the errors that you'll see on our playground are usually solvable if you like take a closer look. So for example, this error that I was getting earlier is just
Yes.
saying the variable prices is already defined in the main method. So it's just saying that you define prices here and you redefine it here, and it doesn't like that. So I just have to take this out. And I just commented this section out and then did it like this. That's what I did. So your error messages are very helpful. This one is telling me it's on line 13. It tells me exactly what point, what part of the code is having the error. So take a moment to look at your code and like really analyze what's going on. Um, so there's three types of errors you're gonna see typically in this class. One is check style errors, which you've already seen check style errors. You've been doing homework for a while. They're the
Yeah,
most,
always have the check style errors
yeah,
every
yeah, yeah. They're the worst. I know how you feel. I hate check style errors. Because you're trying to get something to work and then there's like 10 different things that the code is not happy with.
and
But
because of the check style error, I every time I'll almost success, but because of this and I didn't realize it, I thought my answer isn't correct and I changed my method and then changed my code and so that's
oh
yeah.
no, that sucks. Um, yeah, check-style errors are kind of annoying in my opinion, but they just help to create good code. So like, it's probably gonna get angry at me if I do this. Yeah, so like this one, check-style error.
Yeah.
But it always tells you what to do. So like it's telling me like line 13. I got a
Oh,
line
that's
13.
good. But I also take the CS 199, I think,
Mm-hmm.
about the our homework on Prairie Learn, and that one won't tell you where is your mistake, and so I will always doubt myself about where is my mistake about this code, so I always miss my correct answer, even though I I just
Yeah, I guess that's the good thing about our playgrounds. They're very helpful. It'll say exactly where it is, and it'll say equal sign is not followed by a white space. So you're like, okay, where's the equal sign? Let me add a white space. Okay, now it should be happy now.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, so the other kind of error you're gonna see is like compiler or syntax errors. It's just usually things that you're something that Java doesn't understand. So once you get past the checkstyle errors, you might see some things with the syntax that maybe you got wrong. Um, but those are usually pretty well defined. Like if you use, I think maybe if you use this, this is, yeah, like this one, for example. So if you, instead of using length like this, instead of using length without these parentheses here and use length like this, then it'll give you this error. And this is kind of like a compiler error. And it's just saying, what do you mean? This is not, this is not right. And then testing errors is like basically when you run the code and it doesn't work, pretty
Yeah.
much. Um, yeah, so you don't have 5 minutes, but you're welcome to try these couple of questions and see what's wrong with them. You should be able to identify it pretty quickly. Why do you think this will not run?
The double and the boolean, I think.
This demo
Um, boolean. Oh, oh, there. I don't know. Uh, what is has coupon? The
as
code
coupon is this.
didn't define. Wait. Uh. mm, double price. Maybe the arrow is the
Think, think
price
over
equal.
here, maybe on this line of code.
Yes.
Any ideas? What could be wrong with this?
Um, a the price, there are two price, and the double price. Oh, oh, I see. The double price count equal to itself multiply the this number, I think,
Hmm.
because at first the the it there is some value assigned to price, so um
Yep. Yep. You're on track. So there's a value defined to price here, and then we're reassigning that value for price here. You don't need this double right here, um, because
oh,
you're taking the original value of price, which is 1075, multiplying it by this number, and then
okay,
the price is now equal to that new value.
okay,
So when you're reusing that same variable and you're making some manipulation to it, you don't need to reinitialize it with the data
okay.
type. Yeah, so this is kind of like a syntax error.
Oh,
And then
I
yeah,
know the second one. It's Y space.
yeah. This is entirely just checksaw errors. There's nothing else wrong with it. You just need spaces, spaces, spaces.
Yes.
Um, and there should be solutions for that one. But that's it for today's class. Thank you so much for joining today. You've been very consistent, and I really appreciate that. Like this is very early for me, so that the fact that someone shows up is really nice. And you've been very interactive, so thank you.
You, it's my pleasure to have this class. Oh,
Mhm.
I forgot to fill the attendance
Yes,
form. Maybe last time I forgot to fill it.
yes, yeah. You can still fill that out anytime, because I know you were here, so it's fine.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
just fill it. Just don't forget and fill that out, and also fill out the feedback forms and let me know if you thought the
Okay.
problems were helpful or difficult or think I was talking for too much. Just let me know.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you for coming.
Bye.
Bye.